Hey guys, so in today's news, today is August 10th. Don't forget to do the like and the subscribe things, and when I want to rant about something, you'll get to hear it. Once I figure out how to set this page up properly, I'll do this stuff live. I don't ever have a script anyway, so if I say the wrong thing or the wrong word or screw it up, you'll get used to it, because this isn't BS. There's no bias, there's no agenda. I'm not, catering to my base. I don't have one, so I don't care. I'm just speaking the truth, but a lot of people need to hear it because unfortunately we're so comfortable in living in this lie of reality where we just tell ourselves what feels good rather than what's actually happening. And then everybody around him goes, yeah, that makes sense, even though it's nonsense. Jeffrey Epstein, corporate media is going to say he died from an apparent suicide. And there are a large swath of the American public that's going to believe that. They're going to say, oh, that's just an unfortunate thing or that. Come on. Really? Like, are you really that effing stupid? Like, what the hell is wrong with people? There is, I would say a 5% chance he actually killed himself. Maybe even 1% chance. Everybody knows they killed him. He was on a suicide watch. They took him off the suicide watch. Why would you take him off the suicide watch? The guy's obviously suicidal. He's a millionaire stuck in jail. He's facing 45 years in jail. Suicide's a possibility here. You put him on a suicide watch for a reason. Oh, because he was injured in his own cell. So whose decision was it to take him off the suicide watch? And why will there will be no consequences for whoever signed that piece of paper or watch? Nobody signed it. Nobody knows. The guards killed him or the cops killed him. But we can't say that. The people that, get paid to protect us and enforce the law and, all that nonsense, they're the criminals too. That's the definition of irony. But we can't say that because you're disparaging on law enforcement and corrections officers. Please. Half of them are criminals too. They killed him. Everybody knows it. He didn't commit suicide. Everybody knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. The reason they take you off suicide watch is because then you're under constant supervision and they have to keep a log every hour. They go check on you and stuff. Once they take you off, then they can say, oh, nobody checked on him in 6 hours. He must have hung himself somehow. I've been in a prison cell. It's really hard to kill yourself in a prison cell. I hate to break it to you. It really is. It takes a little bit of work. And that guy, he don't seem like the type that can pull off. But that's irrelevant. The point of the video is, I'm not getting into that whole nonsense. But the point of the video is, on social media now already, like this one guy I follow on Instagram, Diesel Liberal, he's saying, oh, Trump, he killed him. Trump had him killed. Stop with that. The right does the same thing. Oh, now it's going to be, they killed him because of Bill Clinton. Stop making everything political. Stop. All you're doing is muddying the waters. The truth never gets out in this country because every time something happens, we start with their finger pointing about it was the right's fault, it was the left's fault, it was the gay guy's fault, it was the straight guy's fault, it was the Muslim, it was the Christian, it was a Republican, it was a Democrat. We just go back and forth, and forget what actually happened. The guy was a disgusting human being that had sex with thousands of young girls, underage girls. And he was a friend with a lot of powerful people in our country. Donald Trump, Bill Clinton being two of them. And some governors and senators. And I'm sure there was a hell of a lot more that nobody knows about yet. And then, instead of saying, okay, well, obviously there's a lot of scumbags running around that we think are good people, and they should be held accountable for having sex with these 13, 14-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls, whatever. And instead now it's going to be all who killed them and why. The one side's going to say it was Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton, not add them to the list of the Hillary Clinton or the Clinton family, mysterious deaths. And then the other side's going to say, oh, Trump did it because he didn't want to come out that he had sex with underage girls. It's probably a good bet he did. You know what I mean? I'd give it a coin flip. Let's be honest, both of them, it is what it is. I don't even care about that. Obviously that matters. It's horrible, whatever. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about now, that part's going to get lost. The truth of what happened to Epstein's going to get lost. The guards that killed him, or whoever was involved, the police, whoever did it, is going to get away with it. Because it's going to get lost in this lie that it's a suicide. And then two, it's going to become a political thing. And it's like, how does it become a political thing? It was just some scumbag who killed himself. And then it becomes the Republicans say the Democrat, and then the truth gets lost in the middle. Because instead of us arguing over who else was involved with this guy, how deep does this go? This guy needs to go to jail, and so do all the people that did it with him. Just because they had money or hanging out with a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, doesn't mean they get away with, raping young girls. And yeah, I'm saying it, raping young girls. The girl's 13 years old, you're a grown-ass man having sex with her, you're raping her. No, you're not forcibly raping her. And I even talk about, I understand it's statutory rape, whatever. It's still rape. She's not even old enough to make that decision. She doesn't understand what the hell is going on. She thinks she does. And any of you guys want to argue with me, you show me a teenager who doesn't think they know everything about the world and I got everything under control and they don't know their ass from their elbow. So stop. This isn't a debate. Stop. All right, so you got a 13-year-old girl having sex with millionaires, billionaires, whatever, running around the world. Probably there was all kinds of people come forward saying like they got tricked to go on this plane or tricked to go there. Thinking it was a modeling contract, and next thing you know, they were stuck there on drugs for a month. There's all kinds of weird stories coming out, and then there was all kinds of celebrities that were lining up, and politicians and rich people that were lining up to be buddies with this guy to jump in on his little sex thing he's got going on, and all the public angst and anger and curiosity and desire to get to the truth and hold people accountable will now get lost because instead all we're going to talk about is one side's going to say, oh, Trump did it because he was trying to cover up what he did, and the other side's going to say Clinton did it because he's going to, and then there's going to be like a 20% of us in the middle are going to go, who gives a shit? Like who was really behind it? Let's concentrate on what actually happened. Let's concentrate on what's trying to get covered up. But this country is just so, we're the country where 3 buildings go down from 2 planes and nobody even knows that. They did studies on it. Half the country doesn't realize that Building 7 also went down. They don't even know. They don't even know that the BBC went public and said how Building 7 collapsed before it did. Nobody knows these things. And it all gets lost in the tin hat, pointing the fingers, you're crazy, alien conspiracy, whatever. And now anybody who says Epstein, was killed or murdered for this reason or that reason, what they're going to do is they're going to take one piece of information. Something's going to come up fishy on the autopsy, unless they pay that guy off or threaten that guy also. It might not even be a real autopsy. But they'll take that one piece of information, and then they're going to run with their conspiracy theory. So let's say something's wrong with the autopsy where there's no way he killed himself, or something's questionable. That's where it'll go. And they're not going to say, no, it wasn't a suicide. They're going to say something was questionable if they say anything. Someone's going to take that piece of information. They're going to run with it. They're going to say, oh, he didn't kill himself. See what the autopsy guy said? Or he said that. But what it means is that Trump killed him because of this, and this. And they'll go running off in this whole spiel. And then it's all nonsense. Because, yes, the first piece of information was correct. Something was questionable about the suicide. All the rest of the crap, you just made that up. That's all just in your head. But now, anybody who says, oh, I question it as a suicide, I don't think it was a suicide, they're going to be thrown in with the group, lumped in with the group of all the nut jobs that go running off on their own little Alex Jones theories about gay frogs, and that's why Epstein was killed, and blah, whatever. I mean, and then no one gets to the truth because it all gets covered up. And it's not a coincidence that now, in another week, you'll YouTube Epstein's death, and it'll be covered with conspiracy theories of craziness. It's called disinformation, and it's what they do. And by they, I mean whoever needs it to be covered up. They get it out there with all nonsense, and they mix it with all the crazy stories and then you can't tell the difference between the truth and the made-up stuff. And then you'll never get to the bottom of it. And instead of us being smart and saying, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to blame Trump. We're not going to blame Clinton. We're not going to blame Obama. We're going to wait to see what happens here and get to the bottom of who actually killed him and why. Nope, it already started. Memes on Instagram, Facebook. Everybody's so opinionated and uneducated. They don't even know what the hell really he did or anything. They know that someone said he did something with Trump, so now he's a bad guy. Or someone said he did something with Clinton, so now he's a bad guy. Or he's a good, depending on what line you fall on. It's ridiculous. He's a scumbag, no matter who he's friends with. He should go to jail. He didn't deserve to kill himself or be murdered like I'm sure he did. And then even better, he was on a suicide watch just 2 weeks ago, had an injury in his cell. Someone decided to take him off. Then this big brief just got dropped a couple days ago with all this new information about him, right? Like, a lot of people's names and stuff are brought up. Nobody thought to put him back on suicide watch. These people are getting paid $100,000 plus a year to go into that prison and evaluate these inmates and decide if these inmates are dangerous to themselves or dangerous to others. These guards are getting paid $70,000, $80,000 a year. And their job also is to pay attention. And somehow no one, not one person, will be held accountable that piece of shit gets to die and not have to stay in jail or not have to face the people, his victims. Nobody will be held accountable. Someone like Cortez is the first one to speak up and be like, someone needs to answer to this. But nobody's going to answer. And if it is someone that's going to answer, it's going to be some low-level nobody and not the people that actually did it. And we got to do something about that. But that's why we get caught up in the whole identity politics agenda nonsense, and we never get to the truth of anything. Nothing ever gets resolved. Our attention span is that of a 7-year-old kid with ADD. Epstein will be in the news today, tomorrow, maybe on one of the nighttime shows, they'll throw some conspiracy theory joke out there, and then it'll be done. That's it. And then all his victims get pushed to the wayside. Maybe they'll get a lawsuit out of it against his estate, maybe not. But all the truths that were being hidden by his death all go away. And I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand how the government does it, how they manipulate the news, how they tell a story that isn't true, and how the American public is so stupid and they buy it hook, line, and sinker. Just because they saw it on CNN or MSNBC or whatever your Fox News, whatever your news station is. Or they heard it on Facebook or seen it on Facebook or heard it on YouTube. It's nonsense. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as a country that we're so stupid that we believe this nonsense that they feed us. Even when everything in our brain says something ain't right here, everybody's spidey senses are going over, at least anybody with an intelligence of any kind. And then we just go, oh, well, we saw it here, so it must be true. There's a thing called the stigma of print. And it was believed hundreds and hundreds of years ago that if something was written down, because of the cost to write things down, a lot of people don't know this, but it was very expensive to make a book once upon a time. For the Gutenberg Bible and the printing press, it was very expensive. Only the richest people owned a book or books. There was no libraries. Books were too expensive. They were all handmade. They're handwritten. Only the most educated could write them, of course, but only the richest of people were educated, had the formal education to write books. So when something was written down, we believed, it's called the stigma of print, that if it was in print, it must be true. Because if someone took the time to do all this writing, then it has to be true. And that carries over because there also was a stigma in society that if you were an aristocrat, you were someone, let's say you were a politician or something, you only wrote for the court or the government. You didn't write like novels or science fiction stories or anything like that. Your talent had to be used for the betterment of society. It really was a betterment for the upper society, but irrelevant, but that was the point of it. That still carries today. We believe that if somebody took the time to make a meme out of it, it must be true. How sad is that? How sad is that? My kid could probably make a meme in under like 180 seconds. Put some nonsense on there and spread it around Facebook, and within a week you could probably do a study and 30% of the people would believe it, no matter how ridiculous it is. New proof comes out, Obama was in ISIS and is actually related to Osama bin Laden. 30%, not Fox News. Fox News followers would be 80%, but 30% of the public would believe it. If they saw it on Facebook, oh yeah, I believe that. That makes sense. You could say anything. It doesn't matter. There's a group of people that will believe it. It's unbelievable that we're that stupid. And with this Epstein thing now, he kills himself. That's the story. That's what everybody's going to buy. Everybody knows he didn't kill himself. Everybody knows they were going to kill him. He knew they were going to kill him. It's not, come on. I feel like it's like having the tooth fairy conversation with your kid and he's 15. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel sometimes when I talk into this camera and I read what I read on Instagram and Facebook, or I see on the news, or I see on TV, and I'm like, are these people serious? Does anybody actually believe what this guy is saying? And yes, they do. And that is sad and pathetic and embarrassing for this country. And we need to stop it. Somebody needs to cut through the BS and say, no. Yes, there is no evidence of any kind that says anybody killed Epstein. Not a guard, not the police, not Trump, not Clinton. There's no evidence come forward yet. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. We all were waiting for it. Everybody who with any brains was waiting for somebody to bump him off and go, oh, he committed suicide. Just like Kennedy got shot from 200 yards away with a single action bolt rifle by some average Joe out a window who landed 3 shots within 7 seconds that the best shooter in the world can't do today, but this nobody did it. Come on. And then he's screaming, I'm a patsy, and they put it's the same. It's so obvious, and it's almost like the lies are so big, it's hard to believe that they're lies. Because you're just like, well, that can't be true. But we get fed it all the time. This is just another example. So don't do that. Don't comment. If anybody goes on Instagram and says, oh, Epstein, he was killed by Trump, he was killed by Clinton, depending on what your bias is, don't even comment. Say, stop, take this down. Let's get to the bottom of what actually happened to this guy, and let's not forget that there was victims and he had accomplices. And let's stay on that little path. You know what I mean? Instead of getting this all political, and then, Trump's got to be tweeting against Cortez, and Cortez is going to be tweeting against Trump. And wait, I don't want that. That's not solving anything. That's children, throwing insults at each other. Get to the bottom of what actually happened. Explain to me how he got off the first time. How is that guy in the Trump organization, whatever that guy's name is, who was the attorney general back then, that let him go the first time? They had him dead to rights, but he paid a big fine. Come on, man. You're going to sell me one thing where you say corporations are too big to put in jail, no matter how many crimes they commit. No one ever gets criminal charges against them. You can say, well, because there's so many levels and the corporation's overseas. You can get complicated. This is an individual citizen. This is an American citizen who was caught dead to right having sex with underage girls. And he caught out some BS and did some little sentence and made a big fine and off he went. Come on. Anyway. All right, I'm done. Sorry, this went longer than I thought. I don't know. If you guys want anything you want to hear about, anything you want to know about, anything you don't understand, comment back, and then I'll do a video on it, and I'll explain it as best I can.